Yes, this is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius. I had the best words, tolerated. I know words. Mike Pounds. I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation. But there's no better word than stupid. Anonymous, really anonymous. I'm very highly educated. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. Had the best words. God bless the United States.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Big massive dumps.
The nation, Waldorf Nation. What's up, everybody? What's up? It's Monday, and you can already tell that it's a Monday. Yeah, we're a little bit late today. Technical problems, as usual. Having some issues. Those of you who have used OBS before, isn't it always fun when they completely reset every single one of your sound settings at the last minute? Fun. Okay. But don't worry, we're back. We got plenty of stuff. We're going to talk about some interesting segments here. We have, of course, Donald Trump's statement on the FBI search. We have MAGA rally in support of the former president. Fun. We have Republicans defending, using an interesting, I should say, defense on why Trump should not be prosecuted. And yes, it involves Hillary Clinton. Interesting. We've got Dr. Oz, one of the best, most cringiest ads I've ever seen. It's fantastic. And Marjorie Greene doesn't understand batteries. Fun times. Okay, so now, before we dive in, please like and share the stream. Very important that you do so. Now, look, I didn't have a live stream on Friday, but I did have a bunch of clips that I put up. So I put up like 5 videos on Friday. If you haven't checked those out, you should do so after the show. So let's talk about the 87,000 new IRS agents coming to your door. You realize that that's a complete and utter BS, right? They're not actually hiring 87,000 new agents. I don't know where you're getting your information. You're probably pulling it out of your ass. But a lot of that money, $80 billion going to the IRS over the next 10 years. 10 years. Already, like, I'm distracted and sidetracked thanks to disinformation here. From the same usual suspects on Facebook, by the way. It's in the new anti-inflation bill. You read it wrong. Or you probably didn't even actually read it. You probably had somebody on, you said you don't watch Fox News. So some other disinformation page saying, oh, the 87,000 agents are coming after you. No, there's a 2021 study that said you could possibly hire that many employees to the IRS for that amount of money. That doesn't mean that they're hiring. And by the way, this is over 10 years. Okay? Over 10 years to replace people who are retiring. Okay? So there are people that are retiring that, of course, need to be. And some of that's going to get, put towards people who are going to actually go after wealthy people, rich people. those who are actually skirting their taxes, and not paying what they owe. Ridiculousness. I know about 40% of the good. Maybe they'll not go after poor people now. You know, the reason that they don't go after poor people is because they don't have enough money. They don't have enough funding to go after the rich, who actually are able to skirt the laws because they hired their high-priced lawyers. I know I've talked about that before. You must not have listened. Who wants to pay taxes? I want rich people to pay their taxes. Because you know who gets the tax burden? We do. Regular people. No, I want rich people and corporations to pay their tax money. That's the whole point. Okay, anyway. Yeah, there is a show to do. I know. I get sidetracked with the same person. Moving on, let's start out with the first story here. No, a flat tax is regressive. You realize that. That's actually going to punish poor people more than it actually impacts the rich. Numerous studies on it. You should look it up. Flat taxes are 100% regressive, and they are a way to make rich people pay less, and as a percentage of their income, whereas poor people pay more as a percentage of their income. And the poorer you are, the worse it hits. At least it's not me stun locking him. I know, it's called a stun lock. It is called a stun lock. It's ADHD stun lock. If you get rid of the FICA tax, it's more money in your pocket. Who's gonna fund Social Security? All right, well, let's get into it. I'll have to talk about all that later, even though I've already done segments about it. On Monday, former President Donald Trump called for some calm after spending the weekend stoking the fires against law enforcement. Now, on Sunday night, Donald Trump wrote this on Truth Social. America's never suffered this kind of abuse in law enforcement. For the FBI to raid the home of the 45th president of the United States, or any president for that matter, is totally unheard of and unthinkable. Well, it was totally unheard of or unthinkable before. Well, not necessarily unthinkable. I guess there's actually a couple of, examples of where could be warranted. Trump being one of them. But he says this break-in was a sneak attack on democracy, our republic. And was both unannounced and done at a time when the president was not even present. It was for political, not legal reasons, and our entire country is angry, hurt, and greatly embarrassed by it. Make America great again. Okay, so it's amazing that he, throughout that entire statement, attempts to equate himself with the country. The whole country wasn't raided by the FBI. No, it was you weren't even raided. This is a standard search warrant for documents that you had been subpoenaed to return and failed to do so. There was no damage to the property, and they were there to retrieve classified materials. We have the warrant, including possible nuclear-related documents. So, no, but again, here's the thing. If you're, it doesn't matter if you're president of the United States. We now have laws against casually just grabbing that stuff and taking it with you. That's a big no-no. It's a no-no, which is why, of course, Trump is being investigated for multiple federal charges, including the Espionage Act. Okay, fun fact, now Rand Paul is saying we should get rid of the Espionage Act. Once again, it's one of those things where it's like, For example, when Republicans started saying let's defund or get rid of the FBI, I'm sitting here thinking, not a bad idea. And now Rand Paul saying we should get rid of the Espionage Act. Once again, maybe not that bad of an idea. But you have to realize the reason that they're saying these things is not because it's the right thing to do, but because they're there to defend Donald Trump, and that's it. If it were the same situation going on, for example, Obama, well, these same people would be like, oh no, we need more FBI, more investigations, and even harsher penalties for the Espionage Act. So understand, that's what's going on here, okay? Now, by the way, that also shows that their response has been entirely political. Now, what's even more damning, by the way, on Saturday, we found that a Trump lawyer had signed a statement for the Department of Justice assuring that all classified material had been returned, which wasn't true. That was about 2 months before they ended up searching Mar-a-Lago, thanks to somebody who was inside of Mar-a-Lago tipping the FBI off and saying, actually, they didn't really return all the documentation. In fact, here's where it is. Come get it. But there's more. That was on Sunday. Okay, that statement. But on Monday, Trump also spoke with Fox News Digital. So I'm going to give you this rambling statement. He says, the country is in a very dangerous position. There is tremendous anger. Yes. And I've never seen before over all the scams, and this new one, years of scams and witch hunts, and now this. Now, everything this guy says is projection, right? You know who's always running the scams? He is. Including the ones that hit his own fans, his own supporters. Like the ones, the fundraising emails, for example, where he had signed a bunch of people up thinking that it was a one-time donation, when in reality, it was set up for recurring donations every single month. You had a lot of people that were charged multiple times, didn't realize they had signed up for recurring donations, and then were like, oh my God, I just got charged $500. I'm on Social Security. I don't have an extra $500 for, monthly donations for Donald Trump. Scam artists. Among the many different scams, like literally running a fake college that scam people out of money. But yeah, there's more. Okay. And this is the ironic part of this entire statement. He says, if there's anything we can do to help, I and my people would certainly be willing to do that. But wait, hold on. Whoa. Hey, whoa. And if there's anything we can do, please help. Well, we please tell us and we'll help. How about you stop pouring gas on the fire that you started? I mean, whatever you're doing right now, please stop it. Just stop. Oh, there's a tremendous anger. Okay, but you caused it by doing illegal things and then getting mad that you got caught doing illegal things. And then lying about doing illegal things and saying those things that I did that were illegal were actually not illegal because you know what? I said they weren't. No, the nonstop lying here and the gaslighting from this former administration, it's too much. But he continues. He says, there's never been a time like this where law enforcement has been used to break into a house of a former president of the United States. And there's tremendous anger at a country at a level that has never been seen before other than during very perilous times. It's never been seen before except during these very perilous times. So that has been seen before? I don't understand. All of this is completely contradictory. There's a, normal mix of just lies. And so what you have here, again, and this guy's calling for the cooling of the temperature of the country. It's just getting too hot. The rhetoric, just too hot. No, this is an arsonist coming back to the scene of the fire that he started saying, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw more gas on it. Hey, I'm just doing my part to help. Come on. No, what this is, and I realize everything's a show to Trump. everything is a performance. And it doesn't matter the legal ramifications, anything like that, legal issues. He hasn't been, he hasn't been found liable for anything. He hasn't gotten into any trouble. And so for him, it's just a performance for the news cycle that draws more people to donating to him and supporting him. And that's really it. Just performance. Speaking of performance, let's go more. Part of the FBI search of Mar-a-Lago for the stolen secret documents, classified documents, MAGA supporters have rallied, of course, behind former President Donald Trump, including there was an actual rally outside of the Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey, that happened over the weekend on Sunday. In fact, photojournalist Carla Cote shared scenes from this rally on Twitter, including this video. I'm going to show you a part of it. Take a look.
Catching.
Here we go! Woo! Run, America! A super Trump.
Bring back Aunt Jemima! Aunt Jemima! Bring back Aunt Jemima!
Hey, everybody, bring back Aunt Jemima. You know, Aunt Jemima, because for some reason it's gone, even though it's exactly the same under a different name. Literally the same pancake mix and syrup. Just minus, I guess, the racist caricature. But you know what? I realized looking at that that's pretty much indicative of the Trump movement, because they don't care about the substance. The thing, you know, like the actual pancake mix or syrup, they don't care about that. They don't care that it's, other than the name change, it's exactly the same. It all comes down to branding. It comes down to the outer packaging, and it comes down to basically zero change, nothing in there. And that's what it is. All right, so there are other signs, of course, weirdo signs. You might have saw some of them. One of them, I keep my money, freedom, and guns. You keep the change. Again, going back to that theme of they don't really like change on the outside. They want to keep everything the same. The same. They love the racist caricature. They want it back because that's what MAGA is about. We're going to bring all the old stuff back, including the racism, or especially the racism. Another sign said this: may President Trump family be surrounded by the full armor of God. May no weapon formed against them prosper, but boomerang against the offenders. In Jesus' name. Again, using religion to defend one of the most unchristian-like people in the country. Can't make this stuff up. Other signs, of course, are basically more QAnon conspiracy theories. So, again, not a surprise to see the, how people are still held in thrall of this guy. It really does prove cognitive dissonance, right? And a complete rejection of facts and reality. And it would do us well to remember that these people exist. These people exist. They're very, very motivated, especially when it comes to political action. And if they don't get their way, there are some, as we've seen, that resort to political violence. Funny enough, right? So I did the story about the guy who attacked the FBI building. Immediately after that comes out, and this guy was a prolific poster on True Social, a follower of, people on that platform, pro-Trump influencers. And he had posted a lot of things like, hey, we should do violence. Now, after he goes and gets in a shootout with the cops, which he lost, MAGA immediately, this guy died for Trump. MAGA comes out and says, Antifa. It wasn't us, it was them. Of course it was Antifa. Now wait, how is it that Antifa are soy boy, latte swilling, crying libs, but at the same time, people who can not only infiltrate the crowd on January 6th, but also get into shootouts with cops after posting months of pro-Trump stuff on their pages, their different social media outlets. How can that guy be Antifa? I don't quite get it. But again, it goes back to this cognitive dissonance. It goes back to anything that does not fit their predetermined worldview immediately getting rejected. And that's what happens. Now, there was another protest, by the way, that happened over the weekend. And it was a little bit more serious. And it was outside the FBI building in Phoenix, Arizona. So no, it's one thing to be goofy and do the above protest, which again, not violent, again, goofy, ridiculous, kind of funny, with all sorts of weirdo Trump stuff. I don't actually care about that. I think that's totally fine. It's culty, yes. But this one in Phoenix was a little bit more different. CNN reported that Trump supporters at that protest were carrying handguns and assault-style weapons. Oh. One protester said that they were there to, quote, protest the unlawful search at the Florida property. It's funny how they claim that it's unlawful when they literally followed the letter of the law, got a warrant from a magistrate, and did an orderly search, let Secret Service know ahead of time, signed off by the Justice Department. They went through all the steps to make sure that it was completely lawful, and then released the warrant. No, anything that they don't like, it's unlawful to them, of course. But I would bet that if they had searched a Democrat's house, for example, they had searched Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama, then it would have been completely and totally justified and 100% lawful. Dissonance, man. Fox 10 Phoenix also reported that one person had waved Confederate flags and others held "Honor your oath and abolish the FBI" signs. Ah, yes, good old waving Confederate flags while claiming to be a good American. Great. Now, an FBI spokesperson did tell the CNN that the Phoenix protests, which contained about 25 people, was lawful and disbanded by around noon. So there wasn't any violence, there wasn't any injuries or anything like that. So that's good, but still, it's pretty dangerous when you have these protests that involve people standing in front of federal buildings with guns so soon after someone with a gun tried to break into a federal building. and so they're showing up with weapons. And I don't think that any protester should show up with weapons, right or left. Not a good thing to see, because whenever you involve weapons, there is a possibility that things could escalate with those weapons and people will die as a result. And so, again, I get concerned about that, because already we're starting to see more escalation of rhetoric against law enforcement and even possible, or even some attacks as well. I am very, very concerned of what's going to happen in the future if all of this continues. Okay. Moving on. there have been a lot of really dumb attempts to defend former President Donald Trump after he had taken classified documents from the White House home with him. Now, one of them comes from Representative Michael Waltz. Now, Waltz said that, you know what? We shouldn't actually prosecute Donald Trump because he didn't go after Hillary Clinton.
You know, these people who said they would unite the country, I mean, you know, end the armed civil war in Biden's term, it's just going to be so divisive. You can just feel the rage on all sides just sort of amping up. That's what's so depressing about all this.
And you know, Steve, President Trump took that approach. He said, you know what, we're not going to prosecute Hillary Clinton.
Exactly.
We're not going, despite the blatant destruction of thousands and thousands of documents with bleach bit that she got to decide what would get presented to the archives and what he said, you know what, let's move on, let's move forward. But they are just incapable of doing it when it comes to him.
Wait, okay. Oh, see, you know what? We can't go after Donald Trump. It would be rude because Donald Trump didn't go after Hillary Clinton. See? Well, there you go. It doesn't matter if he crimed. No. Because he didn't go after Hillary Clinton because Hillary Clinton did far, far worse. So much crime. What? Okay, so let me explain why these things are different. Okay, so now, Hillary Clinton, was she careless with classified information? Yep. The FBI also thought so. Now, she also, it was also determined by the FBI that there wasn't any criminal violations. Again, reckless, not good, right? Criminal, it wasn't criminal. And again, a lot of this, I think, involves intent. Now, she had a private server at home. Why? Because Hillary Clinton was too lazy to set it up using a state.gov email. Now, she used the same email and private server for both her work and her professional usage. That's why she got rid of a lot of her emails that were of a personal nature. So generally, don't do that, okay? Now, according to Clinton, when she had testified, and by the way, she did testify for 11 hours about all this, okay? Now, she said that, look, the reason I set up a private home server for my State Department stuff is because it's convenient. Okay, that's a bad reason, but still, okay. She said that she didn't want it to carry around 2 different phones. So now at the time, each government-issued BlackBerry could only access 1 email account. Oh, so she didn't want to go through 2 different phones. Ah, right. So, okay. Now, again, I don't like that. I don't like the fact that she decided to put her own personal convenience over the security of the country and her, these possible confidential emails, right? Which, by the way, to be fair, she didn't know were confidential or classified because they weren't tagged with those. Unlike when it comes to Trump and the documents that he had taken home with him. And so that's what's different, okay? Trump did take classified documents home with him, and they were clearly marked, and then had a chance to return them. The National Archives said, okay, look, you took some documents from the White House. We would like to have them back. Now, this happened months before the search. They subpoenaed him, saying, you've got the stuff. We know you've got stuff. Give it back. The lawyer said, okay, but sure, we're going to send some stuff over. All right. Okay, we sent everything back. And even the a lawyer for Trump signed a letter to the DOJ saying, look, we sent everything back. We don't have anything else. But then we find out that an informant, I should say, that he did not send everything back and that he had essentially lied about this. So understand, this is different. This is very, very different than that. Again, one's, okay, lazy, inconvenient, not great excuses, but okay, I get it. There's not really criminal intent here. For Trump, He's just like, I don't know, let's grab everything. Let's just grab and go. I don't care what's in it. Yeah, oh, classified, perfect. Put them in the truck. Put them in the limo. Put them in the car. Let's go. Oh, is it nuclear stuff? Great. Even better, we might be able to sell that. So, again, big difference, right? But let's get to the other thing. The other thing that's fun. You all remember the chants of lock her up. Lock her up, lock her up. In regard to Hillary Clinton. Now, Trump said he would appoint a special prosecutor to investigate her if he won. Now, this guy who's making this argument on Fox News could say, well, look, he said all this stuff, but he didn't actually do it. Okay, fair enough. But why not? I actually don't know why he didn't do it. All I can go with is what was said from both Trump and former Attorney General William Barr. Not exactly the most trustworthy sources, I get it. But William Barr, I would actually trust more than I do Donald Trump. Now, Barr wrote in his book that there was a meeting during the White House and that Trump told him that the government should actually drop its focus on Hillary Clinton and her emails. Barr writes in his book, viewed such an outcome as worthy of a banana republic. Here's a quote. Even if she were guilty, for the election winner to seek prosecution of the loser would make the country look like a banana republic. Well, now look, I would say the opposite if the loser had actually committed crime. Because if you don't go after a previous president's crime, yeah, then that would make you look like a banana republic. Much more so than anything else. But okay, anyway. Now, the thing is that I take from this is, well, he didn't try to put her in prison. No, he used this as a campaign slogan. Because it really wasn't about the integrity of the United States. No, Trump doesn't care about that. He cares about campaigning. And this is just a really good campaign message. Yes, because understand, Republicans are vicious. Members of the far right, they actually love authoritarians and they do want to lock up their political opponents. And so that played incredibly well with the crowd. And what does Trump do? He plays the crowd. He's an entertainer at heart. And so absolutely, he does that. And so now there's more here from Insider, by the way. Trump had also pressured Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to release more of Clinton's emails in the week before the 2020 election, again, as a way to try to win the election, as he was running against Joe Biden. But again, it's that whole thing trying to feed his crowd. Okay. Now, privately, Trump was also going further to pressure Barr to deliver politically motivated probes of top Democrats. The president has also conveyed to Mr. Barr directly and through surrogates that he wanted scalps, the Times reported back on October of 2020. So, I mean, there it is. Trying to get these political wins using these investigations or what is also known as witch hunts. Yes. That's why I say that everything that Trump says is essentially projection. He accuses Democrats of doing witch hunts. No, it is he who does the witch hunts, who is hunting said witches. Okay? Now, let's get back to the point, though, right? Using this as a way to say why you can't prosecute Trump, to me, is pretty ridiculous. No, if it's a crime, you should go after the crime. Now, there is a big issue here, and I know a lot of you are already pointing this out in the comments. You had members of the executive branch can crime all the time because they don't get punished for it. And presidents in the past have absolutely opened up this door. And I think a lot of it started when you had Ford that pardoned Nixon after Watergate. And then it continued with Obama not going after Bush for war crimes. And then, again, on and on, right? So you see presidents here that always seem to look after former presidents, people that were in that position, to hold this, power structure up. Okay. And so in this case, though, I don't actually believe that Donald Trump cared at all about Hillary Clinton. Look, maybe he even actually might be happy that he ran against Clinton in 2016 because that allowed him to be president. And so maybe that's one reason, and that's my speculation of why he's okay with letting Clinton go free, as well as, of course, her not actually doing crime, and all the reasons that I previously talked about. Okay, just using Hillary Clinton to campaign off of, and not actually caring about the law. And so it's not a surprise, but it is a super, super weak defense, again, considering how Trump may have broken the Espionage Act. And that's pretty serious. That is possible 10 years in prison. So I'm guessing the defenses here are going to become even more numerous and even more ridiculous as we continue to go forward. All right. Let's get away from Donald Trump for a bit, and or for the day, I should say, and do some more segments here. We'll switch gears and talk about Dr. Oz embarrassing himself. Fun.
Thought I'd do some grocery shopping. I'm at Wegner's, and my wife wants some vegetables for crudité, right? So here's a broccoli. That's $2. Not a ton of broccoli there. There's some asparagus. That's $4. Yep. And carrots. That's $4 more. That's $10 of vegetables there. And then we need some guacamole. That's $4 more. And she loves salsa. Yeah, there's salsa there. $6. Must be a shortage of salsa. Guys, that's $20 for crudité, and this doesn't include the tequila. I mean, that's outrageous. And we got Joe Biden to thank for this.
Now, that was an ad from Dr. Oz. It's kind of an ad where he pretends to go shopping at Wegner's? What? So now, look, to be fair, I have one thing in common with Dr. Oz. Being that I'm not from Pennsylvania. But even I have heard of Wegmans grocery store. Seems to be very popular. Now, Wegner's, maybe that exists somewhere. I don't know. But now, again, here's the thing, right? So I always love it when politicians do the, I'm just like you poor people. Look at me. I'm doing the grocery shopping without a cart. And I'm going to grab this gigantic bag of carrots to make crudité. What? Okay. Now, look, again, the other reason this doesn't work out is when you're worth millions of dollars and live in a mansion, you're not like poor people. You're not like everyone else. And it's funny every time they do because it's so cringy. I mean, again, you guys remember when Trump did this, right? Donald Trump thought you needed an ID for groceries. I'll never forget the face when Hillary Clinton walked in on a one-bedroom apartment. She's like, oh my God, you live like this? Yeah, we do. Maybe you should do something about it if you ever get into power. But look, again, Oz pretending to go shopping, priceless. Remember, people like Oz don't go shopping themselves. No, they send their minions out to do it. There's only a couple of politicians I've actually heard of shopping for themselves. One happens to be Senator Bernie Sanders, the other being John Fetterman. I wonder who would understand more about grocery shopping and how inflation actually affects the average person than people who actually go out and shop for themselves. Yes. Now, again, everyone else seems to use these little stunts into tricking you to thinking that they actually understand your position, but they actually don't. They don't understand you at all. They're not impacted by this. In fact, that's why I'm in favor of basically forcing everyone who, if you want to run for office, you want to run for higher office, you need to be living on the food stamp challenge. You know what? For your entire campaign, you should be on food stamps. That's it. Food stamps, public assistance. That's it. While you're campaigning. Maybe then you'll understand what it's like. Maybe then you might actually, I don't know, gain a little empathy. So now onto the response here, because it's great. Look, Dr. Oz, he gets ratioed in every single tweet, just about. So let's start with Fetterman responding to this. So what I picked up on, and I've never heard this before, crudités, right? I don't even know if I'm saying it right. It appears to be French. Well, Fetterman responds to this video by saying, in PA, we call this a veggie tray. True. Now, crudités, by the way, they are essentially, let me show you here, French appetizers consisting of sliced or whole raw vegetables, which are typically dipped in a vinaigrette or other dipping sauce. Notice how he picked up salsa. I'm sorry, are you going to dip the carrots in the salsa? What? That seems, whatever happened to good old-fashioned American ranch? Seriously. And of course, the pre-made guacamole. I mean, you're just asking to overpay. But look, I had no idea what crudité was, and of course, most likely regular working people didn't either. Not that it's fancy or anything like that. No hate on crudité lovers. But again, we don't know. If we don't know what Oz is talking about, if the average person doesn't know what Oz is talking about, then it's not really going to hit home, is it? Now, again, this entire thing, it makes it even more ironic because it's supposed to be an ad to appeal to regular people. Wow, way to go. Nailed it. More responses here. Alan Lane points out on Twitter, issues with Oz's Everyday Guy ad. He doesn't know the correct name of the store. He uses the word crudité. He can't properly read the prices. He doesn't know what to get and in what quantities. And it's a crudité platter with raw asparagus, by the way. What? Ew. Dana says, every time I watch this, I laugh so hard. He buys one sad stalk of broccoli and a bunch of carrots that are made for cooking, not for snacking. Again, this is a giant bag of carrots. Not to mention pre-made guac is the most expensive thing in the universe. Well, move over avocado toast. Okay. Justin Frog says, the only reason I know about that word is because I'm French. I never heard of anyone use that word in English before. Another person points out, hey, those prices are not really inflated. I've been paying the same for veggies for a few years. Also, you can find less expensive salsa and guacamole in any supermarket. Fresh food is always more expensive than processed. And then Fetterman, whose birthday it is today, by the way, said this, I never dreamt Dr. Oz and crudité would trend nationally on Twitter on my birthday, but here we are. Well, happy birthday, John Fetterman. Enjoy the gift that continues to keep on giving, which is Dr. Oz putting out embarrassing videos and thinking that he nailed it, I guess. Why am I talking about people on the right not doing their own shopping when Dems do the same thing? Oh God. No, you're actually, that's a good point. To be fair, I tend to consider Nancy Pelosi right-wing. So let's be fair on that. I think she's more conservative than anything, because I don't think the United States has a real leftist party. So if you want to point out the, cringe about Nancy Pelosi's, freezer and all of her ice cream collection, that's fair game. Fair game. It's just as cringe. And a lot of these millionaire politicians that are in Congress in both parties are all guilty of the same thing. Moving on. Like I said, I'm not, I like to dunk on Dr. Oz, but he's indicative of a bigger problem, which is all these politicians not knowing what it's like for average people that they're going to try to represent. Is Nancy Pelosi's ice cream or gelato? That's a good question. I have no idea. I'm going to keep it real. I haven't done my own grocery shopping since like February 2020. I've been getting my groceries delivered. Yeah, but you're still out there. I mean, you're not out there, but there's a reason for that pandemic. And you're still going out and picking out your own groceries. So, yeah, that's a fair point. That is a fair point. Moving on, let's go to Marjorie Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene was recently speaking in front of an audience when she basically admitted that she has no idea how a grid that runs on renewable energy would work.
Ladies and gentlemen, and we're all here in Georgia. Can we just say thank God for air conditioning? Let's talk about refrigerators. I personally like my refrigerator. I know you all like yours. What about washing machines and dryers? Lord, please God, don't make me scrub clothes in a bucket and have to hang them out on the line when we switch over to wind turbines and solar panels. I'm going to be really pissed off about that. I mean, how absurd is this? I like the lights on. I want to stay up later at night. I don't want to have to go to bed when the sun sets. It's so silly. I mean, all of this is absolutely insane.
Tell me you've never heard of a battery without telling me you've never heard of a battery. What do you think batteries do? They store energy from when you're not producing energy. Besides that, you also know that wind does not stop when the sun goes down. Bizarre. No, look, in reality, according to the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, the United States is a resource-rich country with abundant renewable energy resources. In fact, the amount available is about 100 times that of the nation's annual electricity need. Meaning that, again, renewable energy, we can generate about 100 times more than the country needs. And then we take this thing called a battery, and you put the energy in the batteries for when the sun is not shining. Wow. I know, again, very confusing for someone like Marjorie Greene. Very, very confusing, but that's how it works. That is actually exactly how it works. But of course, when it comes to people like Marjorie Greene, not very smart.
Peachtree dish.
Okay. So now, more. Okay. Look, the issue with solar is that there are some places that actually generate too much energy. Now, that energy gets fed back into the electric grid. Now, the thing is that these energy companies, they don't like that, because what they want to do is they want to charge higher rates. And so when you're actually feeding energy into the grid, if you have solar like I do, you're feeding energy into the grid. That means they have to pay you. And they don't like that. Oh, they hate that idea. They hate it a lot, actually. Now, and again, it's because if you're generating the energy and feeding it back to the grid, you're not using as much from them, and they can't charge you as much. Now, look, there are issues, of course, with solar energy. Again, I think the biggest thing is materials, because these materials can be difficult to come by, and in some cases, there's some exploitation over getting those materials. There's also, of course, the fact that solar panels do break down after about 5 to 10 years and will have to get replaced, at least the current models do. And so, you know, there does need to be more work on making them more efficient, to last longer, and to make them out of materials that are a little less rare. But nonetheless, solar is still way, way better than fossil fuels. And by the way, if you have a grid that is still primarily things like solar energy, and it's not just solar, by the way, there's going to be like a different mix of energy sources, wind and stuff. Well, the grid is still going to be there, and there are still, at least for a while, still going to be some uses for fossil fuels. I don't like it, but I think that's the reality, and those would be used as a backup. And so, again, the grid, even if you have solar panels in your house, you're still connected to that grid. And at night, if you do not have battery storage at your house, or of course you're in the winter months, which is not as efficient because there's not as much sunlight, shorter days, etc., then that grid becomes your backup. It becomes your battery, and you won't lose power at night. But see, Marjorie Greene has no idea of any of this because she's a dum-dum. And speaking of solar panels, this is kind of a dumb point, because remember when Marjorie Greene had this conspiracy theory about Jewish space lasers starting forest fires? Well, it's utter nonsense. Look, if you were to build a giant space laser, where do you think the energy for that space laser would come from? You wouldn't attach an onboard gas tank. No, it would most likely be collected from the sun via solar panels. Huh. Or maybe, I don't know, nuclear energy, that's something as well. Either way, you're not going to be burning coal in space. You're not going to have a spaceborne coal furnace on your hypothetical space laser, okay? Again, it's a ridiculous point, but I just felt like I had to talk about this. No, look, again, I do have solar panels. They do generate enough energy to knock a decent amount, enough off my, energy bill. I also have solar-powered motion detector lights, and guess what? Those also work at night. And they work at night just fine. Thank you. She's not a smart person.
Nancy Pelosi's gazpacho police.
I'm just saying, she's not smart, and she points it out all the time. Now, the responses to this were pretty funny as well. Daily Beast political editor Matt Fuller also tweeted this. The thing here is that there really aren't great arguments against wind and solar energy. So if you're against wind and solar, you kind of have to make up shit. Luckily, we invented a little thing called a battery that will keep your power on overnight, added Thor Benson. Another Twitter user said, seriously, these people are an embarrassment to the country. Someone should sit down and explain to this woman all the different ways we have of storing energy produced by the sun during the day. Marge will shit her pants when she learns about batteries, another said. Here you also have Democratic Tennessee State Representative Gloria Johnson saying, oh my stars and bless her heart. She is that dumb, y'all. Well, again, are we surprised? No. David Sampson also wrote, you cannot teach this level of dumb, nor can you fix it. Don't bother telling her that solar-powered lights don't automatically turn off at night. You will just confuse her. The thing is, I'll add to this. While it is funny to call her stupid, I mean, because it is. The really important part that doesn't get touched on is the fact that she's not just stupid, but she's bought. This woman, like a lot of our politicians, gets money from the fossil fuel companies to go and spread lies about solar energy again, because it's something that actually challenges the hegemony of the energy companies, their potential profits. And at the end of the day, these companies, this is all about profit for her, or for them, and campaign contributions for her. So she goes out there and she basically reps the fossil fuel companies, and then they go and they give her campaign contributions so that she can win elections. They pay her to say, you know, this kind of stuff, this kind of really dumb, idiotic stuff, and the people believe it. And it works the same way for pretty much the rest of the Republican Party. And to be fair, a lot of the Democratic Party as well. I mean, we just had a bill with Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer that pretty much relies on carbon capture technology and a lot of additional pipelines for any sort of climate way to save the climate, right? Well, carbon capture technology is not really something that's been proven to work to really offset a whole lot of carbon emissions, to take them out of the air. And it's really kind of like experimental, hypothetical, things like that. And so all of that so-called savings that's in the bill, you know, to reduce emissions, really hinges on a technology that we really don't have a handle of, in addition to more pipelines. And so that's why it's not really that great of a bill, but it was touted by corporate Democrats as historic. Well, anything from Joe Manchin is going to be historic, all right, and historic in the amount of grift and fossil fuel money that it's going to redirect. So from the taxpayer. So understand that we're not just dealing with ignorance here from idiot politicians like Marjorie Greene, but we're also dealing with an entire industry that is fighting to ensure that they continue to rake in massive short-term profits at the expense of life continuing on this planet. So kind of understand the stakes here. All right. Moving on. Let's go to one last story. A federal judge on Monday wants to ask Senator Lindsey Graham a few questions. So now these questions are about Georgia and some calls that Lindsey Graham had made after the 2020 election. So now prosecutors have indicated that they'd like to ask Graham about some phone calls he made to Brad Raffensperger and his staff in the weeks following Trump's election loss to Democrat Joe Biden, according to Insider. Now, this, of course, is related to Donald Trump's perfect phone call. No, not that perfect phone call. The other perfect phone call. See, he's had so many perfect phone calls that we got to be very, very specific in which perfect phone call it actually is. All right. So now, in the calls made shortly after the 2020 general election, Graham had questioned Secretary Raffensperger and his staff about re-examining certain absentee ballots cast in Georgia in order to explore the possibility of engineering a more favorable outcome for former President Donald Trump. Interesting. Graham made references during that call to allegations of widespread voter fraud in the November 2020 election in Georgia. And let me be clear, there was no widespread voter fraud in Georgia or anywhere else. And look, on the calls, at least for Trump, you had Trump pressuring Georgia to find 11,780 votes. Just a few more than they needed to win the election, by the way. And it wasn't just him, it was numerous Trump allies that were calling people, Rudy Giuliani, as well as, again, Lindsey Graham. Now, attorneys for Graham are saying, well, look, you can't actually ask him any questions. Oh, no, why is that? Lindsey Graham's a senator, and so he's got immunity. He's got immunity, that's right. He doesn't have to answer any questions under oath because he's a senator. Oh, right. Now, that defense didn't work because here you have U.S. District Judge Lee Martin May writing in an order on Monday that immunities related to Graham's role as a senator do not protect him from having to testify under oath. Oops. And now Graham's subpoena instructs him to appear before the special grand jury on August 23rd. However, of course, he is expected to appeal the judge's ruling. I'll give you a statement on that later. So now you might be wondering, wait, why not just go and answer the questions? If you didn't do anything wrong, if you don't have anything to say, well, then what's the issue? Surely there's nothing bad in those calls. No allegations, right? Nothing like that. Nothing that's going to get you in trouble. Right? Right? Now look, I think that there's two different possibilities that he doesn't want to testify under oath. Number one, he'd have to tell the truth because he is under oath, or face perjury charges for lying. Now, if telling the truth is actually going to be worse for you than getting caught up in perjury, then that might be a little bit of a problem here. Okay, so it could be, of course, that he joined in the pressure campaign for Trump or knew about it or something. Either way, he could get into trouble. Now, it could be possible political trouble, dealing with Trump's base, if he's honest about it and says, yeah, look, I knew all about Donald Trump's plan to try and pressure these states, to pressure Raffensperger to just magic up some votes to help Donald Trump win Georgia. Okay, well, that would be some big problems, right? Some big political trouble, because again, Donald Trump would likely turn against Graham, and he might not win re-election. Or again, if he does perjury, definite legal trouble. So what he's trying to do is just completely avoid having to talk about this. What? No, I don't have to talk about it. I'm a U.S. senator. I'm a U.S. senator, and I have immunity. I don't have to answer these questions. In fact, Graham is arguing that a provision of the Constitution provides absolute protection against the senator being questioned about legislative acts. The judge did though rule that there were considerable areas of potential grand jury inquiry that fall outside of that scope. The judge also rejected Graham's argument that the principle of sovereign immunity protects the senator from being summoned by a state prosecutor. Graham also argued that this prosecutor in Georgia had not demonstrated extraordinary circumstances necessary to compel testimony from a high-ranking official. But the judge disagreed, finding that this DA had shown extraordinary circumstances and a special need for Graham's testimony on issues related to alleged attempts to influence or disrupt the election in Georgia. Now, again, a lot of you are also talking about, okay, can't he just plead the fifth? Well, I'm assuming he could, I suppose. Now, does that really look good in this situation? No, it doesn't really look good. It's not saying that pleading the fifth is an automatic admission of guilt, not according to the law, but it sure does look bad. So it's not going to help you in any way either. Now, there's another development here that happened earlier today, in which former New York Mayor and Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani has also been informed that he is the target of a criminal probe by Georgia officials. Oops. Now, he is reportedly scheduled to testify in Atlanta today, on Monday. Now, he does not have immunity from testimony, although he does plan on invoking attorney-client privilege if prosecutors question him about any exchanges between him and Donald Trump. Now, again, this is a criminal probe as opposed to them asking Graham some questions and having him testify. Now, Fulton County DA Fannie Willis reportedly questioned witnesses earlier this summer. This is the same person that is, of course, trying to question Graham. Claims that Giuliani, before legislative panels, had asked or had made these baseless claims before legislative panels about suitcases full of secret ballots and corrupted voting machines. Again, all of those are not true. Back to Graham, Kevin Bishop said Monday the senator had no comment, but referred to what Graham said. When asked about the probe last week during a news conference in Columbia, South Carolina, Graham said, "We will take this as far as we need to take it," when asked about his efforts to fight the subpoena. "I was chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee and had to vote on certifying an election. This is ridiculous. This weaponization of the law needs to stop, so I would use the courts." Yes, he would use the courts. "We will go as far as we need to go and do whatever needs to be done to make sure that people like me can do their jobs without fear of some county prosecutor coming after you." Ooh, that is a slap to the county prosecutors everywhere. Lindsey Graham is making a mockery of you, slapping you in the face. What are you gonna do about it? But here's the thing, Graham. Maybe they wouldn't come after you if you hadn't, I don't know, attempted to pressure someone in a state that you don't even represent to help Donald Trump overturn an election based on BS lies. Lies that you know are BS. But here's the thing about Lindsey Graham. He tries to have it both ways. And for one, of course, he comes out and he defends Donald Trump. Okay. And then, occasionally, you'll see him take some principled stances and lightly tweak Trump just a little bit. And then, after pushback, then walks it back and plants his lips directly on Trump's ass. We know who Lindsey Graham is. We know. Beta male. He needs a daddy. So, look, he goes and he finds the biggest Republican around, and that's Trump at this point. Now, Trump, unlike John McCain, by the way, except for that one time, John McCain, you know, that whole scandal involving McCain and some shady financial stuff. Donald Trump does way more shady things, criminal things. People that people around him end up getting in trouble for. And so I think that's the worst place for for not just Donald Trump, but for Lindsey Graham to be. Because it turns out when you hitch yourself to Donald Trump, you get what you deserve. And at this point, the entire Republican Party, almost the whole Republican Party, has hitched themselves to Donald Trump. And you know what? If you do that, there's a good chance you're going to get what you deserve. You know who originally said something like that, by the way? Oh, right. It was Lindsey Graham. If we nominate Trump, we will get destroyed, and we will deserve it. Prophetic words. All right. Let's read some super chats, and then we'll head out. Okay. Let's pull those up real quick here. The one time Lindsey Graham told the truth. True. Very true. All right. Let's pull up these super chats here. Let's see. Madidano says, "Yo, I just got my first time full-time paycheck since 2014. F money and everything, but it helps to have it. Otherwise, I love the show. Keep at it, Jeff. We love you." Well, congratulations, Madidano. I'm glad to see you, making some money again. That's good to have. It's good to have. Rudy Giuliani is under multiple investigations in Fulton County. Yep, I just talked about that. Dango Bangle says, "We can't do nuclear energy anymore. Our water temperatures have gotten too warm for us to safely use and put back in. Plus, the resource wars are going to be commonplace." I mean, if we're talking about fission, I don't know exactly where you're citing the warm water doesn't work for nuclear energy. So I'm going to have to look further into that because I'm not quite sure exactly what you mean. But look, fission power's got a lot of issues. And I agree with, trying to, I guess, limit or reduce fission. But fusion, I think, has promise if we can actually get it done. And that, of course, is that is the question, if we can actually do it. Using the warmer waters for regular nuclear power plants. The sun does fusion. Yes. And guess what? And we can collect that in solar. So nuclear fusion is different. Yes, it is. It's very, very different. Danko Bingo says MTG is not just stupid. She isn't just bought. She's also a person who it places extremist Nazi ideology and normalizes it. Yes, that's also true. That's also true. Gabby Mathis says we love our solar panels. Places Nazi ideas into main public minds. Yes. That is absolutely what Marjorie Greene does, and she is proud of being a Christian nationalist. So proud of it, very, very proud of it, despite its, of course, its dark history. But again, when she looks at it, at that history, and she thinks there's no problem there. All right, what's going on here on Twitch, by the way? I forgot to pull that up, as far as what's actually going on here on Twitch.
Forums.
All right, hold on. Second. Okay. Do you think she even knows what it means? I think she knows. I do think she knows. Timpani and 918, thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub. Appreciate that, to Hunger Games in 1989. All right. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Okay. Well, that's it. Thank you all. Appreciate you. Let's see. Thank you. We're going to raid, by the way, on Twitch into... let's do, it's been a while since we did a James from the Internet raid, so everybody go and say hi to James. To everybody else, thank you. Love you all. Have a great, great night, and we will see you tomorrow. Love you all. Remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation.
Dumps. They call them dumps. Big, massive dumps.
And then they say, Mr. Holder, an intellectual. Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
Obama! People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times.
Disappointed!
Sexual anarchy.
They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.